What if the most important person on your shop floor, that leadership person you're looking for, doesn't have that title? A lot of manufacturing plants, they look to their org chart and try to see what manager badge or leadership has to be responsible. But sometimes you're looking in the wrong place. And the most important people that's influencing your floor can be your teammates. That's your subject matter expert in that certain production area. So I have someone here on the show today that started on the shop floor, went into leadership, into lean, back on the shop floor, over 30 years of manufacturing. Jason Hopper, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Trevor. Happy to be here.
We're going to talk a few things today. One, just we're going to talk about, what made great leadership for you. What's the trap you see leaders falling into today? And then especially with this next generation, like we're both in our mid 50s, we've known each other for over 30 years, coming up here fishing on the French River, caught some walleye last night. And we talk a lot about manufacturing, right? Because we both worked in the field. And I just thought it was a good time to have you on the show now and think about, like, for leadership for you, when you were in leadership, now you're back on the shop floor. What is it about leaders today, maybe, that you appreciate, something that you did that's positive that we need to keep doing as leadership in manufacturing?
Well, we do have a lot of young leaders, fresh in their 20s, and they're very motivated to be in that role. We need a lot of training for them. I think sometimes we throw people into that boat without, a lot of knowledge, obviously, very little experience on leading people.
Yeah.
And they want to do good. They struggle at times. Some of them don't last very long. Some of, just you can tell they're really struggling with the stressful aspects of the job. And I know we sometimes don't give them enough training to get them started. And training can only get you started. I think you need a lot of experience, and people got to be patient with them. I know for me, I see, I get a new young leader, and you hear it from a lot of your teammates. I don't want to listen to a 20-year-old being 50 years old. I like seeing it because obviously for the future, we need that. We need new leaders jumping up.
Yes,
Who's
we
going to
do.
do these roles,
The
right?
future of manufacturing.
So you try to give them the advice, the experience that you've had over the years on your own, live on the floor while things are happening. And sometimes it's just too chaotic for them to even process what they're saying.
So what would be your thoughts then? So on a younger leader, because this is a good point. This is what's happening right now, right? In manufacturing, we have this legacy. I think some stat I heard about, if over the age of 55, the people in the workforce, 1 in 5 are considering leaving the industry in the next 5 years. So we have this possible, people leaving the industry with this experience. And you're right, there's a lot of younger leaders coming in. So we've got the basic training, right?
Yeah.
Give them some leadership training on how to speak to that, because like for someone like yourself in your 50s, you're okay having that younger leader. But what would you say if there's a young leader, watching the show right now or listening to it on the podcast? What's one of those behaviors that's going to get them more successful right off the hop? Like and even thinking back to your own leadership of, like, what do you admire about leaders in general?
The ability to slow down when things get stressful or things, you just got to slow down, really process what's happening, not looking for how do I immediately get this going again, but more to make sure you're not missing what's causing that happen in the first place. And quite often we're just reactive to that instant, downtime, and not looking at how do I get my team involved around this issue to prevent it from happening on especially a reoccurring issue that frustrates everybody, right? Like as a team member, it's frustrating, but as a leader, my experience was that was really frustrating. Like it really frustrates you when you come in day after day dealing with the same issue. It becomes like almost part of the process, which is what you don't want.
So it's almost just a matter of that leader, I guess, just how do you utilize your whole team, right? Some manufacturing plants I've seen struggle with that urgency, right? They just don't have enough urgency. So when you have the urgency, because we need that, right? And if the line's down, if there's a risk, we got to be able to jump on that. But how we do that doesn't mean we just try to fix it ourselves. It's like, how are we utilizing the rest of the team? So is that a matter of just for that, you would want to see leaders just ask more questions of the team?
Yeah, and informing them. Sometimes we forget to actually explain to your team what has happened, what we're doing to correct it, and then getting their input on how do we make sure this doesn't happen again tomorrow. And a lot of the times you're going to have team members on the floor that are just going to go, well, I don't care what you do. But
You're gonna have that.
and the
That's
reality
real
is
life.
there's a lot of people that I don't care what you do with it. But really, that's not helping the whole situation. Obviously, you're not being profitable at that moment if you're not engaging everybody into that issue. And instead of maybe, and I see this with a lot of young leaders, they don't want to take the time to really fully explain it to the team member. And like, it's almost like the team member becomes where he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care what the problem is. The line's down. I don't care. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
You become complacent, numb to it, where, a more mature person, and I mean in age, because you get experience, can't replace experience with training.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try, but it's more, how do you get that experience out of the people that you have? Real life on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, you can train for these scenarios, but if you don't have the experience of someone that looks at it and may even have the answer to that problem, and if you're not explaining it to them, making them feel like their opinion matters or they're engaged in it, they're going to keep that to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they've tried in the past to walk up to, like, what you'd say higher management, trying to explain what you think could be done, what you think could be better. But you get kind of the feeling from them that, yeah, they don't want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
And then,
We already got a plan.
yeah, but thanks for your input. And even if it doesn't, or they've tried it, entertain that, because there might be something missed there. The fine detail that was missed, somebody might have had a great idea and you implemented it, didn't work. But did you miss the fine detail, that the cotter pin that went into the wheel that held it from spinning?
Yeah. Yeah. It's those moments where there's those details of the problem, right? So I think as newer leaders in an area, it's simple, but it doesn't happen all the time, right? Because there's some behavior where it's like, I got to fix the problem. Where an old mentor of ours, Horst Prelog, he's a previous guest, and he was VP of Cosma. And he says this on the podcast, you got to slow down to go fast.
Right.
And it just holds true at every level of leadership, at the operator level, of like, well, hold on a minute here. Like, what happened here? Like, those details. And if you don't talk those through, and like, we talk about the approaching of curiosity, right? Are we curious? That's interesting. This person's bringing this up about this fix we're going to have. We've been having this problem, but nobody's ever really talked about this cotter pin, or whatever,
Yeah.
that little detail. So hold on, I'm curious. Why do you think that? What is it about the cotter pin that would be affecting our downtime, right? So just kind of like stopping a little bit, asking more questions, taking that extra 30 seconds of just debriefing. How are we solving the problem? Because there may be somebody in that group that knows a small detail and say, hey, we should check this. So a lot of times we just want to get it done. We got a solution. Okay, yeah, it's on the spreadsheet. We can show the bosses we got a long-term problem, but then we don't just slow down to have that talk with the team, is what I'm hearing.
Right. A lot of the times, yes. Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't realize the skills that people bring into the shop floor from just what they do outside on their free time in their life. Like, for me, I know, and I've had this experience, especially dealing with the maintenance end of things, where I'm a fairly mechanically inclined person, backyard mechanic, redneck, backyard mechanic, right? Like, I can do bush fixes, but ultimately I like fixing things properly. But if there's a mechanical issue that's going on and you have a lot of mechanical leaders there, and they're proud people, they've done a lot of schooling, a lot of training, a lot of hands-on work, so they are the experts. But sometimes you get caught in that trap of, I'm the expert, you're not. So really, what do you know? And a lot of times there's just that one simple thing from when you're looking outside the box, when you're watching this all unfold in front of you, and you go, hey guys, what about this? Like, would this better if we moved this or we changed this? And maybe an idea of how to fix it. And you can really tell the strong leaders, and this is where I think it's a benefit to have young leaders, open mind, where you bring up an idea and you can see that light bulb go off in their head and go, you might be onto something there.
So you could have the youngest, most unexperienced leader with a team of experienced team members, and that person could just rock it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to take all that energy of trying to solve it yourself. And you can come in as a younger leader, ask good questions, come at curiosity, get that employee engagement just by those conversations. That increases the morale, because all of a sudden, okay, now this person's listening to me. So now I'll give more ideas. But instead, we run in this Groundhog Day of just like try to whack-a-mole and just try to knock these problems out, keep it going fast. Okay, everybody just keep going instead of just stopping for a minute. Like, okay, what do we need to do to make sure this doesn't happen tomorrow?
And I know when I was in leadership, one of the things I felt I was strong with is I always asked the team. There was times where I'd shut my line down for just a few minutes. Hey guys, gather around. We have this problem. Say it's a quality issue that we know is coming down the line. How do we deal with this and get their input?
Yeah.
Because if I just sit there and make the decision, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. And then everybody's looking at me like I'm the dictator.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Like, I make a few dollars more an hour leading a team. That doesn't mean I'm your boss. That doesn't mean I'm going to boss you around. That means I'm going to collectively take your ideas and try to my best to get them implemented or at least review them if they're something that we can do, because let's face it, there's a lot of things that you just can't do, even though people think it's a great idea, you just can't do it, whatever the reason is. But you also have to let them know why
That's
you
the key.
can't do it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's wow, there's a safety concern. And I've ran into that where somebody comes up with an idea to fix something and then somebody else will start looking at it, go, I don't know, that seems a little bit sketchy. Maybe somebody might get hurt trying to do that. And you have to take all that into consideration, right?
Yeah. Somebody gives an idea and you haven't taken the time to just unpack what would be in the way of implementing that idea. So it's a good point. Like, we're not going to be able to implement everybody's ideas, but really we talk about frontline leadership is really connecting to the team.
Right.
And it doesn't mean doing everything that they suggest, but it's just, hey, have we taken a little bit of time to have the conversation? Because it seems like we're running around so fast that leaders don't have the courage maybe just shut down that line for 2 minutes and do that.
Let's face it, as a leader, it's a scary thing.
It is scary.
It's
Shut down production is scary.
It is. You're like, there's, no leader wants to make, even we have a quality issue and we have a good policy in place where I work that if you have a quality issue that is very serious or could be very serious, we stop. You stop.
Yeah.
But and we've been doing it for years and you still run into it. Even then, a lot of the leaders are like, well, stop the line. I got to call somebody. I got to get permission. But we continue building this quality defect until that leader gets the okay to shut down, even though they have the power to shut it down and been told they have the power. So somewhere even above that leader, there's a disconnect, I think, between leaders where they've possibly got a stern talking to because they shut the line down for something that seemed like a big quality issue, but maybe it wasn't as bad as they thought.
Yeah.
And you can't hold that against them because they have the fear on both ends. Am I building quality product? I have to hit target. Sometimes you get to that point where I don't know, I can't do this on my own, and you need to make that call, but that call might be going to somebody that's busy in a meeting. So now you got 20 minutes left. So if you make the wrong call and you shut down for a few minutes to figure things out, that person should not at all be disciplined or talked down to because of it. Maybe explain to in a learning process, okay, yeah, you did the right thing, you shut down. However, it wasn't really that bad.
Yeah.
And got more people involved. And if it ran for 10, 15 minutes while we were getting these people involved, it would have been all right in this circumstance. However, then you have the opposite side where, okay, I don't think it's that bad, but it is that bad. And then you don't shut down. And then you build up. So it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
But it is about, you learn that over time as a leader, but also the way that you were, I'd say, coached on that issue really plays the effect in the back of the mind.
Yeah. So this is a good message for like senior plant leadership, right? We're talking manufacturing team leadership. And if we want these younger leaders to grow, there has to be some mistakes in there.
There's going to be mistakes made.
And so it's that commitment of like keeping that leader with that team, letting that leader, learn with that team, knowing that, when is to shut down, that I feel, okay, hey, there's a little bit of smoke coming from the ducks, like it's okay. But yeah, you're right, because this is my whole aspect of progressive discipline, right? Like that it doesn't really work. It's kind of a scapegoat for that deeper conversation of like, hey, in that moment when you shut down the line, like explain to me what was going on. Like what was in that,
Yeah.
right? What were you thinking? What's information you had? And then instead of saying, hey, you shouldn't have done this, then walk it through with them and saying, okay, so do you think that was a good decision to shut it down? And what would you do differently? What information would you need differently? Who would you want to ask? And now all of a sudden, now we're into this conversation because if we want to change someone's behavior, we got to change their thinking. If we want to change their thinking, that comes from that person talking it through and thinking it through, right? And then all of a sudden, that downtime is an investment into the future of the
Yeah.
company, right? Because now we know moving forward, now we have a best practice. And we do have guidelines, right? We have escalation guidelines and we have andon and we know when to call for help and all that. But it's still, there's that managing by exception, which has to come from experience. And I think to summarize what you're saying, Jason, is take a deep breath. Don't take so much pressure on yourself. Involve the team. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. And one of the most empowering things when I was a junior leader was having my upper leaders say, Jason, you know what? You always make good decisions. I trust you. You don't have to call me every time.
Nice.
You make the decision, and because you know you're not doing it out of, well, I want to stop the line. You're doing it because you think you're doing the right thing. If you believe you're doing the right thing, you should get praised, even if you make a little mistake in that. And that leader, he was a very strong leader. He would explain, we'd have those conversations when I make a mistake. No, you know what? Yeah. Jason, do you think that was the best way to handle it? And, it happens the next day because it really does give you time to get your head around that issue. If you're pressuring a young leader, especially a new one, instantly 10 minutes after the line gets back up and you start at drilling questions at him, that leader's going to run. He's going to say, you know what, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't want to be pressured every day. I don't need these questions. So, a little coaching, trust, and patience. Now, when it comes
Coaching, trust, and patience.
and I use that in a lot of aspects of my life, especially fishing, as Trevor knows. If it's a safety issue, and this is one thing that I made myself do through all my leadership, I'd be at an opening meeting and someone come right up to me and say, hey, I have a safety concern. And at that moment, because when you start a shift as a leader, you're busy. The first hour is busy and arms are going off. Material didn't show up from the last shift in time. But when a team member approaches you, he says, I have a safety concern. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Okay, let's go look at this safety issue. You have to gauge it.
That's the truth.
Is it really going to be is it one that I got to deal with right now? Is there one that I can put a barricade up, some yellow tape, say, okay, there's oil on the floor.
Yeah.
We're going to get that cleaned up. Takes a minute, tell the team member, hey, locker over there. We got some caution tape, caution that off so no one slips on it. And I'm going to call the right people, get them to deal with that. But a lot of the times when I do that and I walk over to that person's machine and I look at it, it's like, holy cow, shut it down. I'm glad you told me. Hesitate, react. Somebody's going to get seriously hurt here. I'm busy right now. I'll get back over there and we'll deal with it. Just get things going.
Yeah.
And you can't. That is a trap.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a test of any leader, right? Like you said, experienced or not. If it's truly our number one priority, can you in that first hour? And the green first hour does make such a difference. And it's really important.
It really does.
But it's really everything you set up to that. So if you're running into that, what I'm hearing, Jason, is just stop. Like if somebody just brings up safety, it's just a no-brainer.
Just stop.
And it's not worth anything else because it's the employee engagement, communication, trust, everything, right?
The biggest trap that I ever come across is you have this team member that every day he has safety issue. Every day, 2 or 3 safety issues. And a lot of the times, well, they're not as big as an issue as he's making it out to be. It's like I said, you can caution tape off that oil and just don't, make sure no one's stepping there. That one time that he has the biggest issue, there's a giant fireball inside my sub machine burning and smoke pouring out. And you're so used to hearing these smaller issues coming at you, bombarding you the first thing in the morning. And you just brush it off as it's one of those issues. You still got to go look. You got to treat it like it's the first time this team member's brought up an issue every time. And that becomes difficult a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has the same opinion. Your opinion on what that issue might be different, like a smaller issue than what I believe it is. Like these team members don't come to you thinking, oh, I'm going to harass Jason again the first hour and give these my new issues. This is the biggest issue. Everyone's really big. And in a way they are because he's bringing it forward. So you still have to just put everything aside. Let's go look at this issue. Make
Yeah.
sure it's dealt with immediately. Like,
Yeah. And you'll gain that reputation, right? Like people will know that, hey, if I come to Jason, he is going to stop.
right,
Right. And then you kind of get in front of it. Right. And then you can kind of get, like you said, that coaching and that patience, and you can have those conversations, and you're working with that team. And then everybody's going to kind of know that, because otherwise safety isn't the number one priority. And there's just no, to me, no argument in manufacturing like that. No, there is nothing more important. And when I see plants that set the tone on safety as a culture, the quality of the production follows suit, right? It just means you got to have the courage in those moments. But I like that as that main trap for that young, any leader of that. Just stop it. Just stop doing that. And that's going to teach you that discipline, and it'll pay off.
right. And be fair warned as a young leader. When you start doing those things and there's leaders around you that aren't taking that approach,
Mm,
you're going to start having people that come to you, even if it's not your process that you're looking at, saying, Jason, I brought up the safety issue and no one's taking it seriously. You're going to be the guy that people are going to start going to. What I found was over time, more and more leaders were getting on board with this. And that workload for me was getting less and less.
yeah.
And I think because people started seeing how much respect they had for me as a leader to deal with those issues, that they had to step up their game in their way of thinking with that. Otherwise, they were going to be the ones that no one wanted to work with.
Hmm.
And if you can get that balance, right, of a good workforce of leaders that really do take your number one priority seriously and get everybody on the same page, consistency, right?
Yep.
And a lot of that, and I know what we're doing now is we move our leaders every year or so,
Hmm.
and you take from other leaders. Cause I used to see that.
Mm,
And I know I got this question asked when I was stepping up from the junior spot to a more mid one. I got this question asked in my interview. Who is your one person that you take the most from when you're developing as a leader? Who's your influence as learning it? And I thought about that question for a few minutes, and I think they thought I kind of froze. But I was really going through my mind. I worked with so
Rolodex.
many leaders. So I was going through, did this one? And my answer came to me was, I don't have one. I see this guy did this really well and it
Mhm.
worked. And everybody was respecting him. So I take that. I try to take that, incorporate it into myself. Now, he had a strong point there. He was a little weaker here, but then I get looking and thinking, well, but this leader was good in these certs. So I pull that from him, right?
Mhm.
It's not about what I want. It's about what works and what does the whole group want, right?
Yeah.
Because and I know I'm guilty of it. Every human being is. Sometimes you get these things in your mind that, no, I'm doing what I want to do because I'm in charge, but you really aren't in charge.
No, no, you're serving. That's the whole servant leadership, right? Your
Yes.
job is to represent that team, because none of us is smart enough to kind of like figure all this out on our own, right? Like it's like that's why you kind of have the whole team. That's how you can leverage them. So, as we're wrapping up here, what now you went through this transition of leadership, and the listeners got to be wondering too, like you're very happy right now. You're back into more of that team member role, and you're having a lot of success. And what kind of shifted you from leadership to what you're doing today?
What One thing I could say, and this goes for all leaders, I don't care how many years you've done it.
Mhm.
When that, because being a leader, let's face it, it's a lot of stress. Day
Yeah.
after day, you're bombarded. And you might think that you're the strongest person that can handle all this anyways, because like life is stressful. It catches up to you without your knowing of it. Like, you feel the effects of the stress every
Mhm.
day. You know what? I feel this every day anyways. But there'll be a moment where it just blindsides you. You'll open a door and it's smashing you in the face. It's like a sucker punch. And for me, that's what happened. It just hit me. I, was making that decision to step down without even a lot of thought. I realized because of that it was the right thing to do.
Mm,
If you don't have to think about something and it just hits
mhm.
you and it comes out, then it's truth.
Yeah.
It's honest. And you go home and for the next few days, you really dissect this in your brain. What just happened?
Yeah.
And you realize it happened for a reason. It happened because you needed it.
Yeah.
You needed that pull away.
I think that's what makes you a good leader, Jason, is that, you had the self-awareness to say that, hey, this was a good season for me in leadership. We do need to kind of continue having these podcast episodes and talking about how do we make the role of manufacturing leadership from the plant manager to the supervisor to the team leader to the team member. And I think if the more that we go back to your whole point of collaborate in the conversations, involve people, and then you get on the same page, you get connected from the top to the shop. We're leveraging the resources we already have. We're having those conversations. And all of a sudden, people can do these roles longer, right? Or we can get different people into the roles that maybe hadn't considered it, because we got to keep this door open to manufacturing, the future of manufacturing in North America. And so last thing I'll leave with is, so the book is coming out May 11th, 2027, Manufacturing Greatness. Build teams that work together, get results, and stick around. And one of the stories in there, so last night when we were fishing, and so I grabbed a minnow, I hadn't caught a walleye yet. So I put that on. And one thing you've taught me, I think the biggest thing, and you're a semi-pro fisherman. I come here once a year, blessed to be coming to the Porter's Cottage with you for so many years. But I think the biggest fishing tip that you gave me was like, Trevor, you just got to envision it happening.
It's like playing a little movie in your head. Like I
Yeah.
said, if you can envision a fish coming up, biting your minnow, a lot of the times within minutes, that's exactly what happened.
And it happened last night.
You're in the
All of a sudden,
zone.
I was in the
I
zone.
call it the zone.
Yeah. And it was like, bang. And then like first night, walleye, Upper French River, this is our escape. But what I took that into manufacturing and all this is that you got to envision success
do
on your
have to
team.
envision.
When a team member comes up to you and brings up a safety issue, if they're walking towards you and you're thinking, crap, I hope they're not bringing up another issue. Like, you're going to project that, right?
Yeah.
If you can kind of like project more openness, and it's like, oh, Jason's coming towards me. I wonder what good idea he might have.
He looks urgent. Something serious here.
Yeah.
Let's walk towards him.
Yeah.
Let's not wait for him. Let's go. Hey, yeah, I can tell. What is it? Let's go. Be part, like you have to feel like you want to be that help for that person.
So it always funny how you can tie fishing, or our favorite week of the year up here, into manufacturing leadership, right? And I actually put that right into my book, and I think that's resonated with people of like envisioning that's going to be a positive conversation. And you lit up right away when I said that. I was talking about.
Let's face it, there, and this now. There's different types of fishermen, and when you come up here with me and Larry, you become a serious fisherman.
Yeah, I do.
It's a different elevation of the sport.
Yeah.
And you're right. I do have some advice for everybody watching this, whether you're a member, leader, upper leader, middle leader. Remember, we're all people. We're all in a different role. That's it. Like, I don't look at a leader saying, well, I don't like him because he's making all this money and he feels like he's in charge. No, you know what? Somebody's got to do that role. So I approach it as in, good for you.
Yep.
I want to see you succeed. You're doing a great job, even though you make few mistakes and you do some things really well, but we're all people.
Yes.
We all have to work together. So don't put yourself on those levels. Don't, as a team member, think you're on a lower level than the general manager of the plant. When you start doing that, you get disconnected.
Yeah.
As a team member, my general managers would talk. I have no problems going to see them. I have no problems going to have a conversation, even if it's not about work.
Yep.
Just to feel like we're just people communicating, right? And a lot of times a good idea will come out. I don't even know where it came from, but it was in the back of my mind, something maybe I stored a year before. I think that's a big problem in manufacturing right now, is that separation of different people. So as a team member, just remember, these guys aren't bad people. They're just doing a different role that I didn't want to do, say, as a team member. Good for him for doing it.
Yeah.
He makes a little more money. He has a lot more stress load. Team members, remember, these leaders, they deal with stressful situations every day. And like I said, as a leader, remember to look over your shoulder for that, because you don't see it coming. It'll creep up to you and hit you so hard and leave you for weeks wondering what just happened. But you know what? If it does happen, don't worry about it. You're still here. You still have a job, still supporting your family.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's
We're
okay.
just people.
We're just people.
People working in manufacturing and fishing.
When Trevor loses a walleye at the net for me, and we might joke about it, you leafed it. However, 5 casts later, I know I'm probably going to get another op.
Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. Great job. And go to manufacturinggreatness.com/subscribe. You can download 10 more questions to ask, and you'll get signed up for the newsletter as well, which we give different content. And yeah, we'll have more conversations with real people like Jason Hopper.
And I look forward to being back on first time. You know what? Real life, it doesn't work that way.
And for those of you not on YouTube, you've seen us swat a few mosquitoes. So thanks for putting me through. The great Canadian North comes with the mosquitoes. We talked about this for years. So thanks everybody for joining in, and stay curious. We'll see you next time.